In this video, I will state 3 key points, and I will support them beyond any doubt. And when I am finished, if you do not concede every one of those points, then you certainly are quicker to conform than you are to see the truth, to say the least. And that is the mistake, the main mistake of the majority of people in human history. Drugging people is wrong. Even meth helps people work or function. Just Google it. And just like psych meds, it changes your physical appearance. Psych meds do the same thing one way or another. Google it. The majority of them, that is. So let's get to the 3 major points, shall we? Number 1, mental health being put over spiritual and natural health is the first mistake of everyone who supports psychiatry or sees it the same way as the mainstream psychiatrist. Number 2, it is much worse to live in a state of constant denial, trying to pretend that you have not accepted evil when you have, than to live in a state of constant moral outrage. Because when you live the way of the former, you have a deteriorating mental state and a deteriorating spiritual state. Your mental health is deteriorating and your spiritual health. Humans are innately spiritual, and for obvious reasons, we are connected to nature. For any artificial system to lead one to believe that that is not the case, directly or otherwise, is to cause the deterioration of your mental health, your natural health, and your spiritual health. Separating yourself from nature is obviously going to cause you suffering. And to those with a higher understanding, we know that separating yourself from God will only lead to disaster. Behavior is not a good indicator of mental health, is the 3rd main point. Nor is it a good predictor of future mental health, for the most part. The reason why is actors, liars, cheaters, serial killers, rapists, and more. All of these people act in a way that is contrary to what they're thinking, feeling, etc. Not to mention what they believe. The precepts of mental health are generally wrong. They have a false belief system, and it has led to their nonsensical description of mental illnesses. And that's why they don't understand behavior. I mean, they discharge patients all the time who return on their meds. What does that tell you? Of course, they'll downplay that and say, well, it's just because they weren't taking their meds. Utter nonsense. And it does also beg the question, well, why weren't they taking their meds if their meds were really helping them? It goes back to the meth and the function argument. Meth is typically more addictive than most psych meds, at least. It makes people feel better than most psych meds. So it then asks a greater philosophical question. Is it more important to be a human, to have your humanity intact, or to function in a very evil, worldly, and materialistic society? You can imagine how I would answer that question. Let's explore this some more, shall we? Let's take the case of someone who has lost a loved one, who goes to a bar, goes home with someone, uses substances, has casual sex. They're having fun. And arguably, they're fulfilling their intimacy needs. They're socializing. They're functioning during their free time. But they are not fulfilled or truly happy. And so it is the same with being on psych meds. And why is it like this? Well, the average person is a Satanist by philosophy. And the average psychiatrist is a radical Satanist by philosophy. Remember, the satanic philosophy is lying, being shallow, being selfish, being materialistic, evil, cowardly, and a conformist. So obviously I'm correct, philosophically speaking. And anyone who supports psychiatrists and psychiatry aggressively or passionately is a radical Satanist as well by philosophy. The same way Satan was deluded, thinking he was above God, is the same way most of the elite are deluded, thinking they are above people who are more righteous, talented, spiritual, and deserving than they are. Most people are disgusted by society, especially since most adults are in debt. So even when they accept this materialistic philosophy, they end up feeling unfulfilled, angry, and cheated. They're disgusted by the way things work. And if you don't believe me, think about how most people see the government. And why are they disgusted by the government, if not how the government governs and the resulting rules in society and the resulting society they've created? So therefore, it is socially normative to be disgusted with what psychiatrists are trying to drug you into being a part of or conforming to. Quite the irony, in the least. Psychiatry is really an odious, dastardly pseudoscience run by noxious knaves. Hopefully you understand that by now, but let's continue, shall we? Financial stress as a result of being in denial, instead of the moral outrage that probably would have helped them manage their money by being outraged at materialism. Remember, Satanism is the philosophy of immorality. Those 7 traits are traits of immorality. It is immoral to be selfish. It is immoral to be shallow. It is immoral to have such a high degree of materialism. It is immoral to be a conformist to an immoral society. It is immoral to be evil, obviously, and it is immoral to be a liar. You see, nature is even disgusted by our society. Going back to my point I said before, where man is innately spiritual and they're part of nature, right? They're a life form, a natural life form, right? Until the transhumanists and so on get a hold of us, the new Genesis, but we won't get into that. Anyway, think about animals getting kicked off of their natural habitat, or the air being full of toxins, and animals have to breathe that too. Ever seen a dog coughing? Think about plants being poisoned. Think about fish and oil spills. Think about deers and squirrels that are hit and run over. And obviously there's a lot more to it than that. Nature, God, and the majority of people are disgusted with humanity And no psychiatrists are shrinks that are full of shit, but many of them play stupid. These fools claim that they want you to function in a society that we all acknowledge is dysfunctional, just like the government, or rather as a result of the government's disorder and satanic philosophies. Satanism as a philosophy, not necessarily worshiping Satan. To be absolutely clear for all of you people who don't understand what I'm saying or play stupid. Anyway, disorder in society, an artificial order that is out of sync with nature and God. Yet they say you need to function, just like communist Russia, Nazi Germany, or say the worst of the three, capitalistic, imperialistic, Masonic, materialistic America, with their dysfunctional systems. You see, communist Russia actually built a lot of infrastructure. A lot of the roads and the other infrastructure they made is still around in Russia and used to this day. Lots of people died. But at least they can say that they accomplished something. Nazi Germany actually brought Germany out of the Great Depression. Stimulated their economy. Lots of people died. But at least they can say they accomplished something. Capitalistic, imperialistic, Masonic, materialistic America is a dysfunctional system that has record levels of debt. They have meddled in the affairs of countries across the world, and they have destroyed the moral fabrics of all those countries. So they were very successful in destroying things that are sacred, righteous, natural, spiritual, and at least somewhat decent. But they have not been successful in doing anything positive. With my social scientist cap on, I can say that psychiatry is a false belief system that murders hundreds of thousands annually. But the same cannot be said about radical Islam. Since it is not necessarily a false belief system. We don't know that. But science proves beyond any doubt that psychiatry is a nonsensical science. Now, look at my 9 Witnesses PSYOP playlist and ask yourselves, why do gang stalkers use drugs to mimic mental illness? Why did the MKUltra scientists, especially at the universities, look into drugs to induce symptoms of mental illness? If psychiatrists can tell the difference between behavior that is caused by mental illness and behavior that is caused by environmental factors or drugs, then why did they look into that in the first place? And why are they still looking into it? Unless they know, as I do, that psychiatry has always been wrong, is wrong right now, and will be wrong for a long, long time. Therefore, it is not a waste of money if you have Satanism as a philosophy to look into covert operations that play people out as crazy, especially people who do not have Satanism as a philosophy. Thank you.